Hey everyone, welcome to the Tech Art Learning Hub. I'm Preeti Bodeti, and in today's video we are diving into how to build an AI powered application using large language models with Gemini and OpenAI API. Without further any delay, let's get started. Before we start coding, let me first tell you all what generative AI and large language models are. Generative AI is a broad category AI system that creates new content based on learned patterns. In general, they are trained on massive data sets which includes different kinds of media like text, images, audio, video, code, etc. Based on the user prompt, they generate output leveraging large data sets. Whereas coming to the large language models, which we often call them as LLMs, they are trained on vast amounts of text data. So we can say that LLMs are a subset of generative AI as they focus on one kind of media, which is text. So the LLMs are primarily designed to understand and generate human-like text. One such example is, as we all know, ChatGPT. So if we summarize, we can say that all LLMs are generative AI, but not all Gen AI are LLMs. LLMs are primarily designed on text-based generation, but currently they are evolving into different kinds of media as well. There are different types of LLMs which they focus on different kinds of media. One is text-based LLMs which include ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and there are other LLMs which are image generators, which is Midjourney and Stable Diffusion, and other kinds of LLMs are audio generators, which includes OpenAI's Jukebox. So there are different types of LLM models which work on specific types of media. So the next topic is application programming interface, that is API. APIs allow two different software applications to communicate with each other and exchange data. So in our AI powered app, we are using two major APIs, Gemini API and OpenAI API, to access to their respective language models. And before we dive into coding, let's first set up our environment. So the first step is to generate the API keys for the OpenAI and the Google's Gemini model so as to establish a secure connection with the LLMs. And the next step is to ensure the Python is installed on your local machine. If it is not installed, just do it right now. And also I'll walk you through setting up the virtual environment and also installing necessary libraries that are required for our application so as to get everything up and running. So without further any delay, let's get started. Now let's create tokens for the OpenAI and Gemini. So first I will go to the OpenAI token creation. I'll also mention the OpenAI platform link in the description box down below. So in the OpenAI platform, there is a button Start Building. So let's click on it. Then we'll be moved to the home page of the OpenAI. So in here we have a search box. So click on it and search for the API keys, which I've already done. So on moving on to the API key page, we have an option or the button called Create New Secret Key. So click on it, and for the first field name, give a name of your choice, and for the project, select it to default and then click on the Create Secret Key. And that's it, your token is created for the OpenAI and you're all set for communicating with its LLMs. So before moving on to Gemini, I just want to give you all a quick note that OpenAI services are not free. We need to have payment for that. They do not cost a lot. They just cost some cents per usage. So if you all are interested and you just wanted to work on or use these LLMs of OpenAI, so just go for the billing. I'll just show you all. Just go to the search bar again and select the billing, and you all can give any amount of your choice. It's up to you. It will just cost the minimum of the minimum per usage. So if you all are interested, just give it a shot. Next, moving on is the Gemini. So in the Gemini token creation, we need to go to the Google's AI Studio. So I'll also mention this link as well. So on the left hand side, you can see get API key. So click on it and then click this create API key. This will generate a new access token for the Google's Gemini model. That's it. Both the API keys are all created and now we are all set to create our project. So I have created a directory for our project, that is AI app with LLM, and I have opened the terminal to check for the Python version. So I will do Python 3 hyphen hyphen version. So we have the version displayed. So what you are going to do is install it. Just refer to the ChatGPT or the Google sources and install your Python and check for its version. Once that is done, we will create the virtual environment. So to create it, we'll say Python 3 hyphen M VENV, that is virtual environment, and our virtual environment name. So I'm doing LLM ENV. So our virtual environment is created. And next, what we need to do is activate it in our directory. So I'll say source LLM env slash activate LLM env slash bin slash activate. So if you can see, before the base we have LLM env. So it states that the LLM env is activated in our directory. So next, moving on is, as we have created earlier both the keys, the OpenAI and the Gemini, we need to save them and secure them in our directory. So before, like in Node, if I say, we always store our secured keys in .env file. So the same way in Python, we'll also create a .env file. I already did it. So you'll just need to create a .env file. Just give us touch.env. It's going to create a file and then export your both the keys so that we can access it in our project file. So these are the two keys which I have securely kept in my .env file. And next, moving on is, we need to install our libraries. So to do that, in Node we have Node Package Manager to install our libraries. The same way in Python we'll use pip to install our required libraries. So I'll say pip install python -env and OpenAI, because we need to work on with our OpenAI model, right? So I'm just installing them. They have been successfully installed. So now I'll create a file for our project. So touch llm underscore api.py. So our file is created. Now what we are going to do is import packages. So first is import OS and next is from .env import load underscore .env and from OpenAI import OpenAI. Okay, that's it. It's all done. Now what we need to do is load underscore .env, and here we are going to get the OpenAI API key equals os.get environment of, which we have mentioned, OpenAI API key, which we have mentioned it in our .env file. So that's what we have created. We will just check on it. So if OpenAI API key, like means if it's true, then print, it's like string literal, formatted string. So the API key is set up. Okay. Else print API key is not set. Okay, this is the validation that we are doing. Next is we need to initialize our OpenAI. So what we need to do is OpenAI equals OpenAI. So it creates an instance of OpenAI. So this is the OpenAI class. So there is an object created of class OpenAI. So we are just initializing. So I'll say initializing, and then so this OpenAI instance which is created from the OpenAI class, this is used for having a connection with the GPT model. So I'm also going to mention the model in here. So I will say model equals GPT-4o mini. So I'm just going to mention the model as well with which we are going to connect. So before moving on, I just wanted to tell you all that when the user gives a prompt, then based on the prompt, the LLMs gives the response. So in the same way, before we interact, we need to mention the prompt which we are going to give. So what that means is we need to define a prompt. So basically in here, to give a prompt, it is categorized into two parts. One is the system prompt and the other is the user prompt. The system prompt is it will define the behavior of the model or the role of the model, like how it has to behave. So we are just going to define the behavior of it. That is the system prompt. And coming to the user prompt is it is the question or the query that we wanted to give to the LLM. So it is the user given prompt, the user's query, so that we can get the perfect response from the given query we mentioned. So the prompt is defined as an array of dictionaries, where first dictionary could be the system prompt and the other would be the user prompt. So it's the combination of both. So here I'm going to mention the system message, that is the system prompt. You are an assistant that gives perfect results. So I have mentioned it like that. And next we are going is, yeah, user prompt. So we'll go for the user prompt, that is suggest some books for personal development. So this is my question, that is the query for my model. So we have mentioned the two categories of prompts, the system prompt and the user prompt. Now is we need to define the prompts with an array of the dictionaries. So how we can do is, I'll say prompts. Prompts equals array of dictionary which has role property, that is key, as system, and content of key is system message, right? You all got it, right? And the next is again the same role would be user, and the content is going to be, yeah, you all got it, it's going to be user prompt. So this is an array of dictionary. This is the prompts that we have defined. So all we need to do is establish the connection. So what we are going to do is GPT connection. So here we are going to do as response equals OpenAI, which we have created an instance chat.completions.create. Create a chat with OpenAI, and the model is model equals, which I mentioned. Let me put this as caps so we can have the difference. So model, that is GPT-4o mini, and on what it has to give the response, how, on what criteria it has to have a conversation with. So we need to define the messages. So messages equals what we have defined as prompts, array of dictionaries with user and system. So the messages, and here we have a temperature equals 0.7. Basically, temperature is an additional parameter that we can define for our model connection. So it's an optional way. Temperature is a parameter for an LLM that has a range between 0 to 1. So the lesser it is near to 0, the more accurate we can have the results, and the nearer it is to the 1, the less accurate we will have the results. It's up to you how precise you want your results from the LLM. So I'm just giving it. It's up to you if you want to add or not. It's completely optional. So this is temperature. Now as we have established our chat, we need to just print our response. So I'll say print response dot choices of 0. That is, I want the first choice that has been made by the GPT-4o mini. I want the first choice from the response. So that is what choices of 0 is. Dot message, that message content. So this is the syntax which we are working with the GPT-4o mini. So that's it. Now let's try to run this code. So I'll say Python LLM underscore API dot. If I just run it, the API key is set up. That means that the condition is true, and now it's going to have our response. So yeah, here are some highly regarded books for personal development that cover a range of topics. See, it has given from productivity and mindset to emotional intelligence and goal setting. Atomic Habits, that's a good book. Intelligence, The Miracle Morning. So yeah, these are, I think it has given the top 10 recommendations of personal development books. Y'all can just give any of your user prompt, y'all can just modify it and try different ways and interact with this model. So yeah, this is for the OpenAI GPT-4o mini. Next we'll move on with the Gemini API model. Now that our OpenAI GPT-4o mini is done, now let's start implementing the Gemini API. We already have set up the API key in the .env file. So the next part which we are going to do is just retrieve it. So I would say is Google API key equals os.getEnv of Google API key. Oh, so that is what we have mentioned in the .env file. So again, I'll just do the validation part for Gemini API key. So if Google API key is there, so then print key is set up. The next is we would say else print Gemini key is not set up. So this is the validation for the Google API key. So the next is we already have set up the prompts. So we'll use the same prompt as well for this model. So let's comment out, or it's okay, just leave it. We need to initialize or configure the Google Generative AI library. So before that, we need to install it. So I would say pip install Google-generative AI. So once it has been installed, we will just import it. So yeah, this is done. Now what we are going to do is import Google.generative AI. Okay. So we need to configure this library which we have imported. So configure the Gemini library. So what we are going to do is google.generativeai.configure. Okay, this is what we are going to do. The next what we are going to do is establish the connection. So what I'm going to do is I just comment out this part and we'll say Gemini setup. So here we'll say Gemini equals google.generative AI dot generative model of, we are going to mention the model. So model name equals, the model is Gemini hyphen 1.5 flash. This is our model Gemini 1.5 flash. And the next is we need to mention the messages. So I would say system instruction equals, what is our system message? We have already defined it. And then what about the user prompt? So for that, we need to give as response equals Gemini dot generate content of the user prompt which we have given. I think we have missed, I suppose, yeah, that's it. So generate content based on the user prompt given and behave as based on the system message given with the model Gemini 1.5 flash. So I hope you all understood it. So now what we need to do is just print the response, print response.text. So this is the Gemini response. So I'll just say Gemini response. So I would say this. Okay. Gemini response. Okay. So let's run the code and we'll see. Python LLM underscore, yeah, enter. So we'll see, oh, the OpenAI is also set up and the Gemini key is set up, but just check the response given by the Gemini key. Sorry, Gemini LLM model. Yeah, we just got the information same as our OpenAI. So the first is for mindset and mental strength. To suggest the perfect personal development books for you, I need a little more information about your goals. So it's being more specific. Here's a categorized list with a brief description catering to various interests. Choose the category best fits your needs and then select a book that piques your interest. For mindset and mental strength, for productivity and time management. That's a good response. Yeah. So this is how we can interact with the LLM models. This is just the basic part, but yeah, it's a lot of information that we get to know when interacting with these models. It's very fun and good way. And we'll also have the knowledge about the LLMs, different types of LLMs and how they work on, how they are working and how we are giving the query. This is all the background process that's being done. So that's the wrap up of our demo. I hope you found it helpful. And if you like this video, do like, share and subscribe. And also follow our TechArt Learning Hub channel for more technical insights, hands-on videos and tutorials. And also check out our TechArt Deals e-commerce website where you can find all the innovative and technical products. Do check it. Links are in the description box. And thanks for watching. And see you all in the next one.